righty, tighty. Well, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Dr. Jan Fortman with the Relationship Matters TV show. I hope everyone is having a beautifully blessed morning, afternoon, or evening. And I'm really concerned about the people who live on the East Coast, especially Florida. I have friends who live in Florida, North Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia, and I think the last thing I heard was some parts of North Carolina are going to get up to 15 inches of rain. Oh my gosh. So I want everyone, if you pray, to pray for the people who live in on the East Coast in that state. Um, Before I want to get on my soapbox. I haven't been on my soapbox in a long time. I think, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, but then it had been like almost a year or two. And you know what that soapbox is? It is the COVID soapbox. Now, COVID is on the rise again. And as I said in one of the other shows, I talked to a scientist who's part of the Human Genome Factor. And he was talking about long COVID. And he was talking about all we think of is like a little brain fog, but it is affecting our DNA for future generations. And it's not affecting it in a good way. So if you haven't gotten a COVID vaccination, get it. If you don't believe in it, then wear a mask to protect you and to protect other people. Because even though they downplay it a lot now in the media, it's from what I'm understanding, it is definitely on the rise again, and it's several variants. So that's all I just want to say. Now, I have a guest today, and we have a whole lot to talk about. And it's all well, I'm just going to introduce her. And it's just a lot to talk about. She made me think uh, about some things that I had not thought about, but I had experienced. So let me tell you a little bit about her. Her name is Dr. Kimberly Walker, and she is an African American woman with more than 30 years experience as a psychiatrist. And growing up and just during her training, she experienced something that I had to look up. It's called microaggressions. And we're really going to talk about that. And because of all of that, the microaggressions, she suffered some burnout and some dissatisfaction with what was going on in her life during the COVID. So she knew she had to make a change, and she found something called RTT, Rapid Transformational Therapy, which we're going to talk about. So this is what I want to ask you, viewers. If you want to make a change in your life, but you don't know where to start, and you think you waited too long, especially we who are seniors, and you know deep down you were meant for more, but you fly under the radar because you caught hell for showing up as your authentic self. I want to talk about that. Well, microaggressions. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about also when you maybe address it. Are you called the angry black woman? So I want to go into that really quick So let me bring her on right now. Hello, Dr. Kimberly Walker, and welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Jan.
Oh, so where can we start? So tell us a little, I kind of glossed over who you are, but tell us just a little bit more about yourself.
Okay. Well, as you mentioned, I'm a psychiatrist and I've done psychiatry for more than 30 years. And when I went into psychiatry, I felt, I'm going to help people. I felt that it was a calling. And fast forward to 2021 in the height of the COVID pandemic, I really got burned out. And, I'm sitting in my house because, we're on lockdown in front of my iPad doing telehealth, telepsychiatry with my patients. So day after day, it's misery, depression, anxiety, suicidal feelings. So it really took a toll on me. And I developed compassion fatigue. And I just wasn't sure if I was going to be able to continue to practice psychiatry because it was just, I felt hopeless. I felt a bit helpless. So while I was looking for answers, trying to figure out what I was going to do because I knew I had to make a change, I came across this modality called Rapid Transformational Therapy. It came out of a class I took, and I had to research some thought leaders. And one of the people that I researched was Marissa Peer, who is the founder of RTT. So when I was looking at it, looking at some cases on YouTube, I think, I thought this is a modality, this is a method that I'm really going to be able to use to help my patients. So I decided to become certified in rapid transformational therapy. And it involves hypnotherapy. Yes, so that is
Oh,
how we find out the root cause of the issue that we're going after. So, and we can talk more about that later, but while undergoing the sessions in order to be certified, uh, I realized that I had these embedded beliefs, these limiting beliefs that I was not aware that I had. And so, reviewing scenes during hypnosis, I became aware of how microaggressions had affected me. I became aware of, and not even necessarily any discrimination, but the fact that being a Black girl growing up in the white suburbs, I was not celebrated. And I remember a scene where I felt like nobody thinks I'm beautiful. And the limiting belief that I took away from that was I'm not enough. And so other beliefs were discovered and resolved.
mm-hmm.
So it's a powerful modality, and I'm just, I'm really passionate about it because it works so well.
So explain to us what exactly, you know what? I want to go all the way back. So I want to go back farther. What made you, I read in your bio that you felt like you had a calling as far as being a psychiatrist.
Mhm.
What made you decide really to be a psychiatrist?
Well, when I went to medical school, I actually thought I wanted to be an OBGYN, and I
Okay.
loved delivering babies, but I also need my sleep. And of course, babies come whenever they want to come. And I realized that for me, I was not going to be able to maintain that kind of schedule and keep my sanity.
Yeah.
So I realized that I enjoyed talking to patients. And so I thought psychiatry would be a nice marriage of the idea of talking to patients and really helping patients. So that's really how I ended up in psychiatry.
Okay. All righty. So that's to me a bit like a big jump from babies to psychiatry. So now let's talk about microaggressions. What are they?
Okay. Microaggressions are behaviors, slights, um, so ways that people can act towards people of typically maybe marginalized groups. And it is often unconscious, it's often unintentional, but it is a way of acting towards somebody where, there's a level of disrespect. And although the word micro means small, it's still a very important and significant issue. And microaggressions over time add up because the person that is receiving these slights, these behaviors, there often isn't any recourse. There often is a level of kind of sweeping it under the rug or just acting like it doesn't exist. It's not important. So, especially when it happens in the workplace, day in and day out, it can become such an issue that it can affect people in a very, very significant way and a very negative way, obviously.
Give me some concrete examples.
Okay. So, something that happened to me was I was in the basement of my apartment many, many years ago when I was living in
Okay.
Philadelphia. And I was working out in the gym area, and I was standing next to a vacuum cleaner, and the somebody who was giving somebody a tour from the rental office, she asked if the vacuum cleaner was mine. Now, I suspect if I had been Caucasian, she probably would not have asked that. I mean, I wasn't dressed in any kind of cleaning uniform. I was dressed in workout clothes. So that's one example. But other examples are comments. Oh, you're so eloquent, or being surprised that someone is smart. So things like that that they may not mean to be insulting, but it is insulting.
Okay. So when you call them micro, okay, so I'm taking the word micro and taking the word aggression.
Hmm.
So why is that terminology? Okay, micro is it's something small.
Hmm.
And so aggression is like something, forceful, so to
Hmm.
speak.
Hmm.
So the micro, this is just my understanding, and you could correct me if I'm wrong. So
Hmm.
micro is like a little small slight, but it's meant to be a form of aggression that's subconscious, or is it wait, or is it can it be intentional?
So
It's
microaggressions
kind
are
of two different types.
typically thought of as unintentional, but yes, they can be intentional. They can be subtle, a subtle dig, or someone may question your authority when you're in a job and you know what you're talking about, and someone who is junior to you feels entitled to question your authority. Um, that may be a microaggression. Yes.
And okay, and that's because of The color of your skin.
It can be because of the color of your skin.
It
Yes.
it can
Yeah.
also be just because you're female.
Mhm. Right. Right.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so these forms of microaggression, and they affected you.
Well, as it turns
Over
out,
a
they
long period of
did.
time. When you
Yes.
said burnout and dissatisfied, do
Mhm.
you think that's because you internalize them? Or we,
So
not you. When I
Mhm.
say you, I don't mean you personally. I mean
Mhm.
because I have experienced it.
Mhm.
You know, oh, you're so, like you say, so eloquent, or oh, she's so intelligent, or oh, you speak so well.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that is a form
Mhm.
of microaggression, so to
Mhm.
speak.
Mm. Yes.
Oh, you speak so well.
Mhm.
Okay, because for some reason, subconsciously, and then we're going to go into systemic racism.
Mhm.
It it's it's a part of that. It's a part
Mhm.
of that, in a sense, that
Mhm.
systemic racism. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, as far as you were concerned, do you think you were internalizing this, and that's why you became dissatisfied, you felt burnout, stuff like that?
So I think that in retrospect, I was just working too hard, and I had been working too hard for years.
Okay.
And so part of that may have been because of some limiting beliefs I had taken in. So a lot of this is really unconscious. It really wasn't in my awareness. So once I did get burned out, and COVID, of course, really exacerbated what was going on. But had COVID not happened, I still think I would have been burned out because I was working too hard and it was not a pace that was sustainable.
Okay.
But limiting beliefs, because they're unconscious, they can really affect the way we operate. And I think microaggressions certainly played a role in the limiting beliefs. I took in some beliefs from some of the experiences that I had. So it's related.
Okay. So now, when we feel that this microaggression has taken place, should we say something?
Well, I think that um I think it makes sense to try to address it, but I think we need to decide how we're going to address it because
Okay.
sometimes depending on your situation, the workplace may not be a safe place to address it openly. There may need to be some strategy in terms of how to deal with it. But people, unfortunately, have to kind of take this in day after day because sometimes they are just not supported when it is reported because it's subtle often. So proving something like that can be challenging.
It's subtle, yes, but if you feel it, you know what I mean. It can be subtle. It can be
Mhm,
something said, like
mhm,
like you mentioned earlier. It could be a perception,
mhm.
with like with the vacuum cleaner. Um, and so yeah, I can see that. I've experienced that. You go to the store and you might, you're not dressed your best. You're looking out shabby, and then someone comes up and asks you a question like, where is the bread? And you go like, I don't know. Well, me now,
Mhm, mhm,
I would probably say, I don't know. When you find it, let me know. That's me now.
mhm. Mhm.
But
Or go
then,
into a store and someone follows you around in a
oh,
department store.
please. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
And yes, that has happened several times, and the thing is, these microaggressions, we feel them, women of color, African American women,
Mhm.
Hispanic women, women of color. And I'm just
Mhm.
using, uh, those two, and I don't think that, um, yeah, I want to be politically correct, uh, but I don't think Caucasians feel that, get
Mhm.
that. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um, as a matter, just something that happened to a friend of mine. She was traveling with her assistant, and this black, her assistant is white, and they stopped to go into this restaurant. And she said when they got into the restaurant, and they were, I forgot where they were, but it got quiet. And so my girlfriend said, "Let's go." But her assistant said, "No, why? Let's get something to eat. We're hungry." And my girlfriend kept, "No, we've got to go."
Mhm.
And so that was you know, two different, that's in a sense, that's microaggression, on a larger scale, so to
Mhm.
speak.
Mhm.
But to go back to being in a store and you turn around and you see this person, and you go over here and you see this person again, and it's like, wait a minute, this person is following me and thinking I'm going to steal something.
Mhm.
However, what happened to me one time, I was in this kind of high uh, scale store,
Mhm.
and my mom and I, we were looking at little knit hats, and so someone over there, and I had noticed that person in the other departments, and we were trying on the knit hats, and this little old white lady came in. She got the knit hat, took the tag off, put it on her head, walked away. Now this person over here still watching my mom and I. And so it it happens in those instances, but it also happens, like you said, in the workplace and in other places where it makes you feel, like you say, you internalize it, and it can contribute to your limiting beliefs.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so wait, I think someone uh oh, okay, here's a question. Like, I'm going off of my own thing. Jacqueline Rogers asks, do you think there is microaggression between class and colorism?
I mean, certainly, certainly. There are, you know, I just think of it as a dig, as a comment. So certainly it can happen depending on socioeconomic class, and colorism. Of course, that is a burden, that we uh, as Black people continue to deal with. And so assumptions are made about experiences or advantages due to shade of your skin. So certainly microaggressions can occur in those aspects.
So now I had asked a question of you earlier about saying something. Do you think that if we did say something right then and there, I understand in the workplace, yeah, like you said,
Mhm.
but on a personal level, let's say you are in the workplace, and your someone, in a colleague or something just says something to you personally,
Mhm.
like, you know, oh, you're just, oh, oh my goodness, you speak so well. Don't
Mhm.
you think that even though you are in the workplace, you wouldn't be loud and angry, but you would just say something to that person right there, then and there, to let them know how that made you feel?
Oh, certainly you can do that. And I have, I have commented to people when people have made and I believe they were unintentional comments to me. So I have quietly commented. It all depends on what is the situation and what is the power dynamic. I think there's a lot to consider, a lot of different situations that occur when dealing with microaggressions.
Okay. Now I also have this question. You said something about uh, when we talked, and when I was just, reading all about you, how we as women of color, and I read a little bit of it out loud, fly under the radar
Hmm.
because we are afraid to show our authentic selves. Explain that to me.
So some of us, and a lot of this may have to do with limiting beliefs. And I had a client that she had internalized a limiting belief that she had to fly under the radar in order to stay safe because she had had a history of some trauma. Now, she wasn't aware of that limiting belief, but that is what came out when we did the RTT. So, some of us fly under the radar because we have gotten the message, sometimes very openly, uh, girl, you too much. Um, you're loud. You're emotional. You're you think, who do you think you are? You're so smart. So some have gotten that, uh, they've gotten that message. And it may be from family members. It may be at school. So, because of getting that negative attention in order to protect oneself, some of us do end up flying under the radar, just trying to stay safe, just trying to keep quiet, not to have attention drawn to ourselves. And there are different reasons why that can happen.
Do you think one of it is cultural? One of the reasons?
Sure, sure. I mean, sometimes we are socialized, uh, to keep quiet. And sometimes it may be safety. You know, Black people have been punished for speaking up and for showing their brilliance. So some families, especially with generational trauma that can occur, that behavior of, okay, just keep it undercover, it may be really for protection. So there are a lot of different reasons why, we may see this happen.
Okay, so now, how do we how do we get rid of these limited beliefs? And I know it has a lot to do with RTT. So explain exactly what that is.
Okay. So a very effective way to deal with limiting beliefs is RTT. And the process involves, as I had mentioned, using hypnotherapy. So using targeted hypnotherapy to find the root cause of an issue, and such as procrastination. And I know that there are concerns about hypnosis and hypnotherapy, and I'm happy to address that if you want me to address that first. But rapid transformational therapy, hypnosis works with the unconscious mind,
Mhm.
and the unconscious mind is ready for change.
Mhm.
The conscious mind, which is what, is really ascendant when we're walking around completely alert, the conscious mind is trying to keep us safe, and the conscious mind is a gatekeeper. So the conscious mind is very resistant to change because change feels dangerous, even positive change. And that's why a lot of rational talk therapies can take so long, because they're trying to break through that resistance that the conscious mind puts up. Hypnosis partners with the unconscious mind, which, as I said, is ready for change. And the unconscious mind will show us why, will give us clues as to why this particular issue is an issue. And when we kind of put the pieces together, when we look at the scenes that come up in hypnosis, we are able to figure out what limiting belief or limiting beliefs has the client taken in. And it often happens in childhood. So something as innocent as, a child asking for something, and a caretaker, not necessarily a parent, but a caretaker may say no and may say it harshly. So that child may take in, oh, I made a mistake, or I did something bad, or I'm bad. So something just like that can get planted, and then it can affect how even an adult operates in the world. The adult may kind of hang back, may be less likely to take chances, because the mind is trying to keep them safe, trying to make sure that they're not bad, and they're not even aware that they're operating with this idea. So in the hypnosis, we look at the limiting beliefs. We are able to use some strategies that refute those limiting beliefs using the adult intellect, but while still in hypnosis, working with the unconscious mind. And then I make a transformation recording that uses the positive suggestions that come out of the session. And the client listens to that recording daily, at least 21 days. And that helps to kind of rewire the thinking and to really seal the change that has occurred in the session. So it's a very powerful modality to make change.
So, what do microaggressions have to do with procrastination? Because I
Well,
want to do it since I'm a
sure.
procrastinator.
So microaggressions. So procrastination can occur for various reasons. Okay, so I had a client that struggled with procrastination, and she experienced kind of a paralyzing sensation when she had to turn in assignments, and it just made it very difficult for her to do the work. So at the very last minute, she would do it because she had to turn it in, but was never happy with the result. So in the hypnosis, what came up was ways that she was treated that gave her the message that I have to, and again, I have to fly under the radar. I have to stay still. I have to play small in order to protect myself. And she also had some trauma.
Okay.
But microaggressions, they take many forms. So you can interpret a lot of different things from what it is you're experiencing.
Okay. Okay. I don't know. Maybe I need to go under hypnosis. Okay. So, I have a question here that came in. It says, okay, hypnotherapy. Does this involve hypnosis? And if it does, have you encountered skeptics to this? And if you do, what would you say to them? Like some people, like, oh no, I don't believe in hypnosis. I don't believe I can't be hypnotized. What do you say to skeptics who feel that that's not going to help them?
So, I mean, there's skeptics about various aspects of hypnosis. Some
Mhm.
people don't trust the process because of, what they've seen on TV and in the movies. And so I'm not talking about stage hypnosis. I'm talking about hypnosis working with a professional. And
Okay.
hypnosis, the state of hypnosis is really a natural state. We've all been in a light trance at one time or another. If you zone out, you were in a light trance. If you've driven someplace that you are familiar with, you don't have to pay attention to every single turn you make. And sometimes you get to your destination and you don't even really remember half the trip. Now, of course, you had your eyes open
Yeah.
and you were driving safely, but you weren't dialed in during that whole trip. So that's a light trance. Hypnosis is just a deepening of the trance, the light trance. You remain in control and you are just very, very relaxed and very able to concentrate. So, what I say to people who have concerns about hypnosis is I explain it, very carefully. You do remain in control. And people who say they can't be hypnotized, well, I think that most people can be hypnotized if they want to.
Okay.
There are a small percentage of people who can't be hypnotized apparently because they can't visualize at all. And I don't remember the term, but I met someone a couple months ago who has this particular condition. But most people can be hypnotized if they want to.
Okay. So we're going to just take a brief break and come back. So now, if you have any other questions or comments, please put them in the chat so we can ask Dr. Kimberly Walker. Uh, because when we come back, she is going to tell us how we can work with her. What program that she has that we can work with her? Because you know what, and I know I'm speaking generally, but as a Black woman, and I would say most Black women, we have been subjected to so many different forms of microaggression. And like you say, we internalize it. And speaking with you, I know I have internalized it. And there are times when I want to, like, you know, say what I have to say, but have to fly under the radar, you know. And I'm going to tell you what someone said to me one time. So, anyway, we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We are back. We are back. Now, you have a program And let me make sure that I have the right name. It's called Unblocked and Unbound.
Yes.
We want to be unblocked and we want to be unbound. So
Mhm.
tell us about your program.
So my coaching program involves three. It's a 3-session package using RTT, and we have intakes where we decide what is the issue to work on, and then later on there is the 90-minute to 2-hour RTT session, and we go into hypnosis pretty quickly, so we have the bulk of the 2 hours to do the work, and then a transformation recording, an individualized transformation recording is made to listen. So it takes place over about 10 weeks or so, and I found that 3 sessions is it's a good number in order to really deal with the issues in a thorough manner. Often what happens after the first session is other things come up, like peeling the layers of an onion. So related issues come up in order to resolve the issue in a very thorough manner.
So now, where are you located?
Well, I'm located in Columbia, Maryland, but it's virtual. I do
I
everything
wanted to ask
virtual.
that. How do you hypnotize somebody virtually?
It works quite well.
Really?
It works quite well. Hmm.
Wow. So people, because I thought, okay, well, where is she? Because I'm here right outside of Chicago. How is she going to hypnotize me all the way here? I didn't know that. I did not know that you could really hypnotize someone virtually.
Yes, it works
Oh
beautifully.
my, oh my goodness. And so you say other things come up. So,
Hmm.
but okay, so this other question, uh, text came. How do you know that you have limited beliefs? Yeah, that's what it says. How do you know that you have limited beliefs?
How do you know that you have limiting beliefs? Well,
Yeah, I'm sorry, limiting
yeah,
beliefs.
limiting beliefs.
Mm, yeah.
So limiting beliefs themselves, they are unconscious. So you may not know that you have them. But clues that I would say that you might think about, if there are certain behavior patterns that you engage in, for instance, um, perfectionism. We talk about self sabotage. We talk about not being able to for instance, you may not be able to hand off work to other people. There may be trust issues. So, those probably are behaviors that come about because of some limiting beliefs. If there are behaviors that you really want to deal with and you are struggling to deal with, it may be because you have limiting beliefs. So those are some signs.
Is the imposter syndrome also part of that limiting beliefs?
So imposter syndrome can come from various limiting beliefs. It can certainly.
Oh, it comes from.
It
Okay.
can. It can.
Okay. Well, it can. Okay.
Hmm.
And
Yes. Yes.
and so I've seen, and even I've sometimes say, "Oh, they're not going to want to listen to this," or
Hmm.
you know, uh, or like you say, perfectionism.
Hmm.
Especially, I was telling someone who's writing a book,
Hmm.
and I mean, they've been writing and rewriting and writing and rewriting, and I said, you got to stop
Hmm.
because you're trying to get it perfect in your head, and it's already perfect, so to speak.
Hmm. Yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
uh, so and yeah, and I think a lot of us suffer sometimes from imposter syndrome or
Mhm.
limiting beliefs. But I like that question of how do you know? I guess if it really kind of stops you from progressing in
Mhm.
whatever it is, then you know, wait a minute. What the heck is going on?
Mhm.
Okay, so here's a question from Maxine Walker. How do we know you have hypnotized? I guess what she meant. How do you know that
That
you
you've
have?
been hypnotized? How
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
know?
How do you know?
So so early in the process, when I am taking somebody into hypnosis, I will kind of do a little test with them at the beginning to let them know that they are hypnotized because they're open to the suggestion that I give them. So, and it's something very safe, something very easy to do. But that's how they know. Mhm.
Okay, here's another question that came in. Do you work with young people who may have been bullied or something else?
So at this point, I'm working with adults at this point. I
Okay.
will eventually move into working with adolescents.
And you work mostly with Black women or women of color?
Mostly
Or is
women
it
of
across?
color. I mean,
Okay.
I will work with women, but I mostly am working with women of color at this point. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And do you see success?
Yes. Yes. I mean, I am passionate about this because it really does work. It works beautifully. I had a client who um, she had a session, and the client is also in therapy for some stuff. But what she said was that the hypnosis session, the RTT, it just worked so quickly to get to the root of something that she had really been trying to deal with in therapy for a very long time. So it's very effective. It is.
And well, you know that be also because I like people who, when they espouse something, a particular therapy or whatever, that they know because they have experienced it,
Hmm.
rather
Hmm.
than espousing something
Hmm.
and they read it in a book or they took a class or whatever, got a
Hmm.
degree in it, but they never really experienced it.
Hmm.
And so
Right.
I'm really happy to hear that. So now, if people want to get in contact with you, want to know more about, and how can they?
Well, so my website is drwalkercoach.com, drwalkercoach.com. I am on Facebook, Kimberly C. Walker. I'm on LinkedIn, Kimberly C. Walker, MD. And so, you can check me out there.
Kimberly, Dr. Kimberly, you know, uh, what can I say? You're making me think really about,
Good.
no, I mean, really, really, really about these microaggressions because we we internalize them. We don't say anything about it because maybe, like you say, at that particular time and place, we have to be up under the radar. And we don't want to be uh, seen as that angry Black woman,
Mhm,
because
mhm,
sometimes when you speak up for yourself,
mhm,
that's the label that you get.
mhm,
Even if you address it on a personal level,
mhm,
you can get well, you didn't have to get angry about it, and you weren't, but you were just letting that person know how
mhm,
you feel.
mhm,
Now what happens is when you get to be a certain age, when you get to be a senior, I used to wonder about this, right? Because I used to tell my mother, she would say, why not? but when sometimes you get to be a certain age, especially my age, and it's like it's a microaggression, and it's like, well, what did you think? Why didn't you think I could do that?
Mhm.
Or, you know, well, why are you saying that?
Mhm.
And end up putting that person on the spot, you know. But it's all of, and we didn't really get into systemic racism because that's like a whole nother law, but
Mhm.
microaggressions to me stem from
Mhm.
a level of systemic
Mhm.
racism.
Mhm.
And one of these days, and I'd like you to come back too, when we can really talk about that and how
Mhm.
it really affects women of
Mhm.
color.
Mhm.
So, Dr. Kimberly, the time goes so fast. I told you 45 minutes, and we did 54 minutes. I want to thank you so very, very much for coming on. And because this has been very informative, very educational, and I really, really appreciate you being a guest. And ladies, gentlemen, all of you, you really need to go on her website, drwalkercoach.com. And I really, really, really want you to do that. And like Jacqueline Rogers said, this time just flew. And so did you. Are so right, Jacqueline. I got some more texts here and some questions, and it's like, oh my God, you're going to have to come back. You're
I
going
would
to,
love to come back. Thank you.
and so thank you so much. And okay, folks, you got to stop texting me now. So, thank all of you, and please, I'm typing something to you in the private chat. So, thank all of you for watching. And you know what? Make sure, women who might not be watching live, they can watch this again on YouTube, on Roku, um, or you can contact me, and we can have another conversation on this. But again, Dr. Kimberly, thank you so very, very much. This has been a plum pleasing pleasure, and we are going to talk in because we're going to have you back on because
Okay.
this has been great. So
Thank you
you
for the
have a
opportunity.
beautiful, blessed rest of your evening there in Maryland.
Thank you very much.
All righty. Bye.
Bye.
Wow, this has been great. I had so many questions, but you know what? Think about the microaggressions that have been happening in your life. And you know that they're having, you know what? Put it in the chat, put it on the Facebook page so we can have her back. So thank you again, everyone, for tuning in, listening via audio, and watching um, live. And I want, there are all kinds of relationships. There are all kinds of relationship matters. Life is all about relationships. I will see you again next week on the Relationship Matters TV show. I would like everyone to have a beautiful, blessed morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. See you again next week.